Again, Jim O'Shue with North American Contractor Link, and want to do a couple of quick things as we open up here. We got a great panel, which I'll introduce in a little bit as we get into our discussion. Yesterday I learned a few things. One of the things I learned is it's not really clear who the heck we are, what these guys do as advisors. And I want to simplify that a bit, right? So this organization, North American Contractor Link, is essentially a sales team for contractors. You know, we go in as North American Contractor Link. Our advisors are iron workers out of the field that now kick ass in biz dev. And they go in with only one mission, which is for the plants, industrial plants that we target on behalf of our contractors, on behalf of putting iron workers into those plants to steal market share. They go in and solve problems. So again, North American Contractor Link, we don't organize. We are a sales team. And I might add, for contractors, at no cost, we go in and represent you. We go knock down. I mean, these guys beat down steel doors to go in there and make relationships with engineers, safety managers, et cetera, to win business where we didn't have any business before. So as we jump into this, we're going to explore that a bit as a topic. We only have one mission, and it's pure. It's to put iron workers to work where they are not today. That's all we do all day long. That's all we talk about. It's what we were talking about over there warming up is what are we doing tomorrow? What are we doing next week? What are we doing 2 years from now to continue to put us where we're not? So I'm going to tell you a bit of a story about how we got there, and it's interesting. Diana talked about zombies. And if I might, when this thing started, right, and good on a lot of folks that made this happen. You know, Great Lakes, Bill Dean, Kevin Hilton, Eric, everyone who got behind this thing, Thomas, I mean, I could go on and on, Greg Christie, there's so many folks that were responsible for this thing. But I might add that in the beginning, with Great Lakes Business Development, we might have been turning red on Diana's little trajectory of saying, you know, are we a zombie or are we successful? And what we had to do as we were turning red is reevaluate this thing. And now I have a new title I think I want to add to my LinkedIn profile or resume, which is maybe Zombie Hunter. But it was how do we evaluate this thing, people, process, technology, make change, and see if we can get a different result. And the reason I bring that up is we had to change the trajectory of what we were doing. Up until a couple years ago, we might have, with a lot of effort, a lot of good people, secured about 9 or 10 projects over a period of time. And then we started to advance it, and I'm going to get into that a bit. We started changing our performance. We started changing how we approach this business. We went from turning red as a zombie to turning black, and I would say green soon, as a green light to kick ass and keep going for you all. And in 2026, right, that's a long ways out, but we have a vision. And that vision is to deliver a ton of hours to the organization. And that's where we're going to get them, right? Facilities that now use us, now use our iron workers, use our contractors over the competition. And here's some numbers, right? I was mentioning earlier when we were kind of turning red as zombies. Hey guys, you were zombies, sorry. That since then, we've knocked down 606 proposals, and I might say if I looked at our technology today and ran some numbers, probably in the last couple of days, that number is now probably 615, 620. So even as you all have been sitting here yesterday and getting ready to come out here, you know, our guys have been getting proposals in the door. Of those proposals, and mind you, where we've never been before, we've secured 278 projects. Now, these numbers started out humble, and I would tell you a big vision here, big vision of some of the guys on our advisor team in the audience. And we're looking to ramp that up. Of those projects, those new projects and plants, we get a ton of repeat business. And I'll tell you, we chase the small stuff because it leads to bigger things. And so we're all day long chasing furnace relining, blowers that are going out, emergency maintenance, putting a stair rail in. And we've got great contractors, and we've got great work, as you know, great workers, and here we are getting repeat projects. Started small and we're growing. 105,000 approximately iron worker hours. Our goal by 2026 is start to add some commas to these numbers, right? Where we're doing 400,000 a year, 500,000 a year. Kevin Hilton has a high bar, maybe 1 million. but we're going to change this and we're going to keep growing it. We also, and this is a really important point for our contractors, we represent a solution to our customers where we solve their problems, which means we bring in what they need. So we do have additional trade hours that come in with those projects. You have to. And I would say this 176 is grossly underrepresented. It's well into the 200, 250,000. So we're growing it by clawing back share, taking it where we're not. So we asked for the order. Herb Brooks, if you've ever seen Miracle on Ice, I'm from Minnesota. I actually skated next to some of his guys once and heard that damn whistle he blows in that frickin' movie. And these guys know it. It's again and again and again and again we ask for that damn order. So I've got on stage here with me and Kevin Hilton. I know you're a Michigan fan. Eddie Mitchell, our rookie, well, about a year and a half, put on blue just for you, not Alabama Crimson. God love them. Glenn Jacks, Jim Chop, and I'm going to have these guys say a few things about themselves to introduce them, and in the background, we're just going to roll with some of the projects these guys have been winning and other advisors that aren't on the stage. So Jim, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, good morning. My name's Jim Chop. I'm from Youngstown, Ohio, member of Local 207, Great Lakes District Council. I'm a 30-year member there, and I've been doing business development with North American Contractor Link for the last 4 years.
And Jim, what do you like best about this gig, going from being an iron worker to an advisor?
I just feel like I got a stake in the whole greater cause, and I want to help it along.
Yep.
And this is the next phase in my career. If I can
Dedicated
help
to
it.
the mission, as we say.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Keeping it going.
All right, Jax.
My name's Glenn Jacks. I'm from Local 25, Detroit, Michigan, part of the Great Lakes District Council. Been an iron worker for 27 years. Been part of the business development program for the last 4. And before you ask, my favorite part of the job is the rush, when one of your contractors is awarded one of your projects.
Indeed, agreed. Mitchell?
My name is Eddie Mitchell. I'm from Sheffield, Alabama. I've been an iron worker for about 15 years, year and a half in on the business development side of things. My favorite part of the job, I'm going to say probably the free lunches. Of course, we always like when we get a win, but.
And I gotta say, we've got some new folks. Brandon Day's in the room. I think Patrick Stewart might be here. We've got a lot of advisors that have come on board that are not here. Mitchell, Eddie, we call him the rookie, even though he's no longer a rookie. But we tell all the guys that join, man, this is a marathon, man. This is a long fight. And Eddie, I think, is a poster child for that, because I'd say, the first 12 months sucked?
Yeah.
Greatly.
Ironing out all the different bad contact information.
Absolutely.
It's hard to get anywhere.
And I got to tell you, man, we're proud of you, because you're starting to knock down wins. Every week we're seeing more. So appreciate it, man.
Thanks.
And if everyone in the room, and I'm going to do it for these guys, and would ask you all to give these guys a huge hand, because I got to tell you, what they do is amazing. Thank you. All right, I'm going to speed this up. Hold on a second. All right, so what I'd love you guys to get a sense of are a couple of things. One is, we run a process, right? People approaching technology, and we use it every day. These guys learn it. A couple of little notes from when I got involved. This guy, Tim Spino, who's out in the audience, got involved. Some folks, and I was in Ann Arbor, I think 3 or 4 years ago, and somebody said, you know what, Oshu, Spino, we know you guys have done this in other places, but this isn't another place, and it's a crazy idea that iron workers can actually become business development professionals, and not only become BD guys, so to speak, but actually kick ass and do well. So we started out with, that buzzkill, if you will. The other one was, hey, by the way, you're working with a team now that's been at this for a while, and things just aren't happening. Is this going to work? So I just, again, want to say that the things that we found incredible was how you guys are trained, the iron workers, and how trainable you are, these guys were, to take what we kind of knew and kick ass with it. The second thing, and Diana kind of was talking to somebody about this, is we learned a ton from these gentlemen. We learned a ton from you all to say, how do we change even our approach and how we think about it to be successful? And I want to tell you, we will continue to do that on your behalf forever. We're going to hit our vision. We're going to continue to do that. So, Jim Chop, I'm going to ask you just to talk a bit about Quality Castings in Ohio, which will give the guys, the gang here, a sense of how we work and how we get after things.
So we're using Quality Castings as an example. It was like one of the most recent successes that I had just this last January. And what is so significant about Quality Castings is this is historically a plant, a foundry, that for the last 20 years has had open shop contractors working there with long-term service agreements. I started prospecting them in late 2018 and moving that along by constantly keeping in contact, building rapport with this company. Even though they didn't trust me yet, I had to build credibility. It took a long time until the point where just, fast forwarding a little bit, after touching them with emails and calls and face-to-face meetings over a 2-year period, just this last November, they decided their maintenance department was deficient. And the non-union company that was working in there wasn't keeping up either. So they asked me if I can help that. So after speaking with a couple of my contractors, one of my contractors from Cleveland, Ohio, Forest City Erectors, stepped up and supplemented their iron workers and plugged them right into their maintenance department to work right alongside their maintenance people. Very successfully, I might add, to the point where they tell me that they didn't realize that kind of skill level and that skill set was out there because they were used to employees who weren't really trained that well. So they're really killing it. They're doing good. They got an indefinite PO.
Hey, Jim, if I might, you might have all seen those slides zipping by you. I was talking to Kevin Hilton when Jim landed this thing, and we celebrate our wins. They're hard to get. But when Jim landed this thing, I was in DC actually and talking to Kevin, and we're like, oh, all right, Jim tells us the story. We're like, well, shit, let's check it out. And we were impressed, Jim, because we know these guys use our technology. They know they follow a playbook and a process, but all of those slides you saw flipping by, those were Jim's calendar and notations and what we use in Salesforce. And I only put maybe half of them up there, but Jim, how many times do you think, I think I counted 60, 70 email, phone conversations since 2018.
Every bit of.
And what do you use to do that? I mean, that's Salesforce.
Salesforce is a tool that was provided of us through Impact that we could track our activity, good and bad, use it as a tool to know what to take the next step, reference back, and it's very helpful. Otherwise, you're taking notes, you're just winging it more or less. So we use Salesforce. That's we're very data driven, and that's a big tool for us.
Yeah, and I might add on that, we're extremely data driven, and when we talk about those deals you saw earlier, these guys know we are crazy about confirmation, everything documented. We use Salesforce as not only the way we run our business, the way we stay on track, the way we make sure we continue without delay chasing these plants. We also use it to document the hell out of everything. So we know exactly when we land deals, who our contractors are, how we're doing, how many we win, how many we lose. We learn from our losses, we learn a ton from our wins. So like this format of supplemental manpower now we're taking advantage of because we're finding a lot of traction. We're getting a lot of plant managers that want to talk to us. And we got a note from Don Clark actually, and Jim wouldn't talk about this, but I made him. So I said, hey, send me that damn letter, you got that email. And I won't get into all the details, but Don, of course, complimented Jim. Really, Forest City Erectors, the contractor who went in there, made a specific reference about our guys, how well they're trained. I mean, you guys, the iron workers in the room, the folks that went in there are so efficient and kicking ass for the foundry. And my favorite, which I highlighted and brought up in bold for you guys to see, is they look forward to working with this group on future projects. So, we look forward to more hours from quality castings and are pretty damn excited about it. So thanks, Jim, for all that effort and work. Glenn Jacks, what do you think, right? And I get asked this all the time as we bring on new advisors, and Brandon Day, if he's in the room, has asked me and said, well, what's the first year like? It's tough. It's hard. And I want to give Glenn an opportunity to talk a bit about that. Glenn, what's been so hard about this?
That's a real good question.
Glenn Jacks?
There definitely is a big difference between being out in the field one day, then all of a sudden, the next day you're a business developer. But I tell you what, the work ethic is basically the same. A couple of obvious things for everybody who knows me is a few things that I struggled with was, number one thing was the computer and the techie stuff. Never had the reason to navigate around the computer before. Heck, I didn't even have an email address. Another thing I struggled with was the rejection. We're making cold calls all day and being told no time and time again gives you a negative vibe. The last thing was when I started, we did lack a blueprint. A lot of times it seemed as though we were kind of running in the sand, if you will. With all that being said, with the help of the other advisors, with this administration, with my business manager and president, and being persistent and figuring out exactly what Google was for, navigating the computer came pretty quickly. As for the negative stuff, you get a couple people tell you yes, and then before you know it, you get a couple wins underneath your belt, all that negative stuff simply goes away. In terms of the lack of the blueprint, well, it's true. We didn't have much of a blueprint when I started, but with the help of this administration, your expertise, you and Tim, and we do. And the learning curve. There's a lot of trial and error there. We do have a pretty good blueprint to follow now. In addition, we have all these tools that make our job a lot easier. Hopefully that answered your question.
Well done, Glenn. Yeah, absolutely. And I might add, we had it's interesting when I started getting involved with this, we had a true blue business development professional, right, who had no background in the trades, wasn't an iron worker. And I remember having dinner somewhere with a group of people talking about, well, at least you have him. You got our guys, but at least you have that guy. I could tell you after about 6-7 months, that guy's not with us anymore. And he was a great guy. He was a good BD guy, business developer, but he didn't understand the business, right? And you contractors out there, all you iron workers, damn well, if I started talking to who's not from here, not from being an iron worker, was never trained, probably in the first couple of minutes you go, all right, he knows how to say 2 or 3 things, but he's never done the job. Our plant managers, our safety engineers, the folks we call on knew that as well and could figure that out. Also with our contractors, these guys represent you. They're a no-cost resource for you. They go out and they can talk the talk and they get in there. I think Glenn Jacks, from what I hear, and I believe it, knows more about conveyors than a ton of people in the industry, and he can talk conveyors. We've got Rusty Carter out of the East Coast who can talk safety all day long. So anyway, key point, iron workers are great business developers and non-iron workers can't do the job. So I'm going to ask Mitchell, talk a bit about how has been an iron worker, but despite the Michigan blue jacket, been in terms of how's that helped you do this job?
Well, we've already done the work hands-on, so we know how to look ahead, see what's coming up, what problems may arise, safety issues, easier way to do things. We're already there. They know we're not snake oil salesmen real quick because we can talk about what they're talking about. And it's easier for them to open up and talk to us about what's really going on, what they need, what they're looking for, and move forward.
Yeah, I love the snake oil comment, right? Because our guys, and these guys help define this notion of a customer solutions advisor. If our plants need the lawn mowed and we can help them, we'll go figure out how the hell to get their lawn mowed. We go in and solve problems, period. And by doing things that way, by doing what we fundamentally believe is the right thing to do on behalf of those plants, we get our contractors business, they trust us, and we connect that contractor directly to that plant. So it's not through North American Contractor Link. We're the link. We bring you all together. And that's your relationship. And our guys are there after that first deal to continue to foster that relationship for the contractors, to understand from the inside of the plant, if you will, how we need to compete, how we can win more, and when we're doing poorly and when we need to improve. So we're there to advise those contractors, our contractors, and we want to thank all the contractors. We have a ton of them now that we represent. We need more. And we've got a big appetite as a team. We're not satisfied with where we've been. So guys, as you know, Kevin and us, and we've talked internally about growing, snapping the cap off this business and really growing it. What's next? How do we grow? What do you need?
More contractor buy-in, more locals buying in.
Absolutely. And why should they do that, Glenn? Why should more locals, why should contractors join this fight, if you
The
will?
proof is in the pudding, right? The numbers.
Decent pudding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Chop?
I would say, if I had to sum that up, I would say all you contractors that are in this room are used to doing business in a certain way that's worked a long time, but that dynamic has changed, where the phone normally did ring, or you were giving them opportunities, but now you have to be a little more proactive and go after it, and that's where we come in. We go after it offensively and chase it down. So.
Absolutely. And here's the deal, right? And I bumped into a business manager yesterday, and I can't remember the exact conversation, but that gentleman was saying that, after we talked a bit about we're a sales team on behalf of our contractors in the locals, in the regions we go into, and he offered up this. He said, you go into plants. Well, yeah, I guess you're right. We don't really do anything with plants. All right, well, maybe we should, right? We've got all these plants, and we know them all. We know all the plants in the US. We know all the plants in Canada. We have the names of the engineers, the plant managers, the safety people. And we've got a team that's growing, and you know what we need is we need more ammunition, man. We need more territory to go take it on and keep beating down these doors. So I hope we can get more locals, we can get more contractors. In a couple of years, we can turn this whole country plus Canada, which we're not in right now, but into our version of red and blue. I'd say red, white, and blue, but I think somebody owns that, so we'll just settle on red and blue. But this is where we started, right? This is where we were at when we were deciding if we're going to zombie hunt and kill or keep this project going. So this group grew quickly into the southeast. We're doing more up in the northeast. Now we're going out west, and these are approximate bubbles, as you can imagine. The Pacific Northwest. Brandon Day's in the room. We're going up into Wisconsin, and we're pretty damn excited about that. And guys, we're going to keep again and again and again asking for that order, and here's how we're going to do it. And we need more locals. We need more participation. We want to take on that challenge for you. We're going to continue to develop our skills. These guys are constantly buzzing us, as we're trying to build this program and saying, here's what we need, here's what we can do better, here's how we can win more. We're going to continue to do that. We're going to still constantly look at people, process, and technology. And one of the things we're doing, and I was talking to Kevin Hilton the other day as we're getting ready for 2022, is how many reach outs, how many times are we going to go out and chase those doors? And here's what that looks like. Before the end of this year in 2022, we're going to make 120,000 direct calls. 120,000 direct calls in the areas that we're targeting now. I'd love this to be 300,000 direct calls, because that means we're in more areas to chase more plants, get us more iron worker hours. At a minimum, we're going to crank out a couple 100,000 emails. And all these guys, all these advisors, we got about 20, 21 on board right now, are going to continue to follow up all these conversations, all these emails, keep asking for the order. At a minimum, we're going to have 12,000 conversations this year. 12,000. So this group is going to be responsible in those areas. We wish we had more red areas, more blue areas, but responsible for 120,000 at a minimum reach out direct calls. Couple 100,000 emails. They're going to have 12,000 conversations, and we're going to convert a high percentage of those conversations to business for our contractors, hours for the iron workers. So we thank you. We thank all of you for your support over the years. We're excited. We're excited to take on this challenge and looking forward to continued success. Congrats, guys. Appreciate everything you all do, plus the advisors in the room and everyone who has supported this program. Oh, it's going to load again just for your enjoyment. All right. And our deal, right, all day long, we say it every day. Everything that comes first is putting iron workers to work where they are not. So thank you very much for your time.